So I'm one of James's friends, and I asked him last week when I was out with him, just said, how's the Q&A going to work? Oh, I don't know. So I was just like, well, what's going to happen? And so I managed to shoehorn myself in as a bit of a host to run this Q&A. We'll run for about 30 minutes because I appreciate people have got places to go and runs to plan. So you can get home and get doing that.
Hopefully someone's doing a Winter Wainwrights as well.
Yeah. So, like I say, I am good friends with James, and I can tell you it is a very annoying thing. It is so frustrating being friends with James, because as many of his other friends alluded to in the film, he just makes everything look so easy. But he is incredibly encouraging with it, and like I alluded to in the film as well, I get inspired by it, even though he is my mate, and I'm sure a lot of you guys are now itching to get some plans in the diary and get some stuff done, because that's the sort of thing that these films do. And here next to James we have Chay Turner-Richards, who I think we all need to give a massive round of applause to for getting that together. I also want to thank Martin Stone for his fantastic talk at the start, making us all feel massively inadequate. He also stole half of my content from this opener, which is good for you guys, because then you get to listen to me less. But one thing I was going to do, which was similar to what he did, was if you could put your hand up if you've ever run something and needed support from someone else. Quite a few hands. Brilliant, look at that. So keep your hand up, and now put your hand up if you've ever supported somebody doing a run. And have a look around at the amount of hands up in the room there. And that is what this film here was trying to convey, was the amazing fell running community and how much people rallied together just to help somebody do something absolutely insane. And it did a brilliant job of conveying how mad some of those conditions were. Who wants to be out in those conditions at 2 a.m? You wouldn't really do it unless there's something mad going on, and it was a brilliant portrayal of that. Could we just have one more show of hands for the people who were involved with James's Winter Wainwrights or Summer Wainwrights? That is how many beers you still owe people.
Yeah, quite a few.
And I'd just like to say that, as we know, James went on to do the solo unsupported rounds, the Bob Graham, Paddy Buckley, Charlie Ramsey, and I think there was one massive motive in that, and that was just to prove that he was capable of carrying his own rucksack.
That is literally the only reason why I did it.
So he's proven that now, so fair one. Thank you, James. And I think just before we move on to the Q&A, there is a man in the room who was highlighted very well in the movie, and that is Matt Handley, his support driver. Matt is one of James's closest friends, and earlier this year, Matt had his first child. And what was the name of what did you name your firstborn son? James. The super fan right there. That's what happens when you spend a week in a van with James Gibson. All you can think about even when naming your first child. Anyway, we'll get on with the question and answers. So we've heard quite a lot from James already. We will come on to him, and you guys will have a chance to ask him some questions. But first, we're going to ask Chay some questions, because that was quite a monumental feat, getting that footage, getting it together. So first off, what attracted you to wanting to be involved with what was quite obviously going to be a huge project?
Well, that was definitely part of it. I think to start off with, just a bit of context, so I work with James quite a lot, and it basically came about that he asked me, I'm about to do this little run, do you fancy filming it? I was like, super naive, and yeah, I can make a film, let's go for it. Then saw the schedule and went, okay, there's just me, but we'll see what happens. So yeah, charged the batteries of my little camera that I'd borrowed from uni, and what you saw on the screen was an amalgamation of a lot of hard work from a lot of people in the room. Obviously, I couldn't be there on every single leg, doing every single mad thing that James was doing, so I do owe the support runners a massive amount of gratitude for carrying that GoPro around. You probably all hate me for forcing that GoPro on you and saying, this is how you click record, this is how you... Yeah. But no, it's just, I think deep down I just fell in love with the story and the challenge, and it was a big challenge for myself as well as. But yeah, it's definitely the biggest thing I've ever done, and it's might be the biggest thing I might ever do. But I know someone's got something planned, so.
Winter Wainwrights number 2?
No.
Yeah. Because you were the only person with like a proper camera capturing the kind of pro shots, as we say. Then we had the GoPro stuff. Was there ever a point when you thought, I really have kind of taken on more than I think I can handle here?
Every day, pretty much. No, I think the biggest eye opener for me was, I think it was day 6. So the keen-eyed viewers in there would have noticed there was very little footage of day 6 because I decided to take a rest day. And I ended up driving home and forgot to tell my parents that I was coming home. So I had to sleep in my car outside my house because they'd left the key in the door, which was a bit awkward. And I think they came out and said, like, what are you doing? And I was questioning that a lot. But no, I think, yeah, it was really, really good fun. Got to meet a load of great people and really enjoyed it. So, yeah, there was difficult bits, but nowhere near as difficult as actually running the thing, so I don't think I can whinge too much.
And going into it, you must have thought this is going to be a real challenge. What did you think was going to be the biggest challenge to kind of capture this, and did that transpire to actually be the biggest challenge?
I think definitely the biggest challenge is showing the scale of how big this thing is. So one of the very first edits that will never be seen in the light of day had no real show of scale. There was no graphics showing how big this thing was. It was just lots of nice footage of James having a nice holiday around the Lake District. So I think, again, throughout the whole editing process, and I'm very lucky, and I'm going to name drop my editor who sat right there, who did an absolutely amazing job, and this wouldn't have happened without him, so I'm just going to put that out there. Yeah, I think that moment of asking for help was key, and that's why the film was made, because I decided, like, look, I need to ask for help. I can't do this all by myself. And that's where the sport runners helped me make the film, the editor helped me make the film. We had musicians, James, my partner, my family, everyone had an opinion, all had gave helpful feedback, and that made the film. So there wasn't just me who made it, it was everyone in the room who came to support tonight as well made the film as well. And
it's amazing to have an whole orchestra chase James around the hills so you can get that.
Yeah, it was a logistical nightmare when they were getting stuck to the metal instruments, but we managed.
So a question I was going to ask you, but maybe I should ask the editor, was how many hours of footage did you get presented to then create this masterpiece?
Absolutely
Loads, like hundreds.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure the first conversation I had with you, I said, I've got about 2 terabytes worth of footage, so I think that's about 2,000 gigabytes or something like that, which is a lot of songs in context. And then I said, I haven't done the interviews yet, so that'll probably be another 2. So I think the grand total is a 5 terabyte hard drive that's sat at home, locked away from any animals to go anywhere near it, because yeah, I'd be crying if that got damaged.
And I can imagine quite a lot of that was probably Matt Handley filming his own face, trying to figure out how to work the camera.
Why was that?
It was a lovely shot, and I almost put in the whole cooking show we made, because on one evening we did do a full cooking show in the van, kind of Gordon Ramsay style. But it wasn't very PG, let's put it like that. So we had to behave ourselves.
So James, how does it feel for you to see it all put onto big screen into film format?
Well, you see the scale of it. It's not just me that was involved. Like, Chay's done such an awesome job, and Rob, of like piecing it all together and telling that story. And as you've seen from people in the room, there's so many people that are involved in it. It's not just me. And doing a feat like this, it's not possible without it, like everyone that was involved. But yeah, I mean, it's portrayed perfectly. I think it tells the story really well. And yeah, it's just got everything you need.
Yeah, it was fantastic. And in the film, we touched on the fact that we had the 2 rounds going out on the same day, but an hour apart, which for anyone who was dot watching, and I mean, it's very easy to get addicted to dot watching, I think everyone will agree, waste hours of your life just watching this thing move, forgetting it's a person most of the time out there on the hills. And you saw me chat in the film saying about how this kind of weight was lifted when we found out that Tom had decided to kind of call off his challenge. How did you really feel when you found out that news? Because it obviously threw a bit of a spanner in the works with regards to that schedule. Yeah, that's the question.
Yeah, I found out Tom was going for it. I think it was about October time. I was actually on a trip with Jack. We were climbing down south, and I didn't know what day it was coming. I didn't expect him to be going out on the 1st of December. I think it was probably like 3 or 4 days beforehand that he let me know that it was, or announced it that he was going out on the same day, and literally like an hour before me. So I think naturally that probably put it into like a race scenario anyway. Not that I've ever done a race, but it certainly sort of gave me something to aim towards. So as you saw in the film, like my schedule was based on the worst case scenario. So if there was quite a lot of snow on the ground, I expected it to take like ages. And thankfully for those first couple of days, it was, I could move pretty easy. And then having Tom to obviously aim towards, it definitely motivated me to probably push harder. And who knows, that might have been very different if it wasn't there. So yeah, I'd say definitely.
I remember seeing the state of some of your support runners when they came in after leg 2, because I was on leg 3, and I think they were glad the leg was over, but it's a massive leg. This is a snippet of James's schedule. So 6.5 hours running, 20 minutes rest, 10 hours running, 4 hours rest, 4 hours running, 20 minutes rest, 8.5 hours running, 4 hours rest, 12 hours running, 30 minutes rest. That's just the first kind of 3 full cycles, and he didn't keep to that because he was racing faster. He chucked rest out the window, which is just absolutely mind-boggling for anyone. I know we have got at least one Wainwright completer in the room. We've got Carol Morgan in the room who would have put herself through that sort of thing a number of times as well, and can probably say that she's maybe had some kind of crazier splits as well. It's insane to even contemplate that sort of thing. We had the second storm, which was, as we saw, you were pretty broken as that kind of hit, and we ended up kind of bunking down in Mungrasdale for quite a while, and it provided you with a bit of a kind of forced rest. How do you think you would have fared without that forced rest?
Yeah, so with the rest, actually in Mungrasdale, I think it was about 24 hours in total that I actually sat that out. So it's forecast to sort of be about 70 mile an hour on the hill and just dump snow all day. So I think when I arrived into the coach road, having that knowing that storm was about to hit and how to attack it, that was probably what brought me down quite a bit. And then trying to make some sort of plan where we could actually sit out safely. So I think we all sat around in Dockwray and sort of made a plan together. And I think the most sensible plan was to just keep pushing on, but sit out the worst of the storm. I think probably having that rest period certainly gave me more energy to push on for that last remaining, I think it was like 2 days. And then having someone in, giving you a massage, and it's luxury. Playing pool and stuff and just chilling for...
Yeah, we had to tell Matt that he couldn't massage you. We had to get a professional in.
There is actually footage of that massage as well, but that didn't make the cut.
So Jake, a couple more questions to you before we go to these guys. Were you ever tempted to ask James to kind of go back and so you could get a better shot of him doing something?
All the time, especially some of the gorgeous sunrise shots. I think the biggest thing was when you asked about was there a moment when I realised this was a massive feat. Just touching on that, day 1, leaving Keswick, I was like, I'll just jog with him. He'll go nice and steady, won't he? First hill, disappeared off. There's me blown out my backside going, okay, this is going to be difficult. I need a new plan. And that's where the GoPro came in and saved my backside. So yeah, that's all cool. But yeah, no, I think, yeah, it was good fun and hard.
And was there a particular shot that's made the movie that you're particularly proud of, that you kind of got and you knew that was a bit of a banger?
That's a really tough question, because I have spent the last 3 months, I think, watching different versions of this film, and I can't cop out saying every shot because I could say that. I think all the snow stuff, like the climbing that massive snowdrift, the footage from there, it still makes me go, it still gives me shivers watching it, and yeah, it's just wild and kind of question what the hell were we doing kind of thing, but yeah, it looked cool. So that's my cool shot, yeah.
Yeah, nice one. As you know, I flew my drone a little bit and caught some shots, and I was going to ask you who's the better drone pilot out of me and you. But based on the fact that the opening 3 drone shots were mine, I think we've got the answer.
I was going to open it up to the floor and let everyone vote on it, but
They would have said the opening scene.
yeah, it was pretty nice. Color grading was a bit off though. No, I must admit, I think between us as a team, we are the ultimate drone.
I'm just amazed I didn't crash my drone into James, to be honest with you. That would have been embarrassing.
I didn't do that, by the way. No incidents with me.
So just one last question from me, James, before we go to the floor. Martin read out your CV earlier on, which is massively impressive, and it was shown or spoken about in the film about this mental resilience that you have. But there's got to be more than that makes you who you are, but also makes any kind of athlete or ultra runner kind of be able to take on these things. What would you say are the main characteristics that somebody needs to be able to complete something big?
So I've built this up over quite a long period of time now, and I've done that with a lot of people in this room as well. And I think, you know, having that experience of like being on your feet for such a long period of time, like that's vital. That's first and foremost. But I guess the experience of being like in bad conditions and, you know, resilience, I guess, that's been built up through a number of things, from, you know, working in the outdoors, you know, the likes of Scaffold Pike, for example, at 4 o'clock in the morning, you know, doing that day in, day out over the summer period. I think that's probably built up my resilience quite well. And just having that mindset of like, this is just normal. Whereas I guess for a lot of people that it might be like, why on earth would you do that? And then equally stuff like winter climbing. So, you know, being in the hills in Scotland, like in atrocious weather, and it making it feel absolutely normal. So stuff like that, really, that'd be the experiences that I link it back to. And then just being in atrocious weather, like, and just making it feel the norm. That'd be what I'd say, yeah.
Great stuff, thank you. So we will go for 10 minutes. If anyone's got a question and your name isn't Matt Handley,
or Jack Oliver.
Are you bad? Jack's banned apparently, sorry. Has anybody got a question for James or Chay regarding the Wainwrights, anything that he's done on the hills, that is?
I've got one.
Oh, excellent. There you go.
No, be sensible.
There's kids in the room, remember.
Were any animals harmed in the making of that film?
No. Yeah, you can do it.
I can safely say there was no animals hurt, but a massive shout out to all the four-legged friends, all the dogs who were out there, who braved all the weather. There's some absolutely amazing images. There's one still that I still can't believe. There's this poor little dog next to your feet, and it's meant to be black, but it's covered in white, and it just shows the weather. But yeah, no animals were harmed that I'm aware of.
So question here, if I've interpreted it correctly, is there anywhere else that you know of kind of internationally where anything similar is happening with regards to the grand magnitude of people undertaking rounds like this? And if so, is it on your radar?
Internationally, that is.
Just anywhere. I know you love Scotland, but that is another country, so it's all good.
Oh, I mean, there's loads of stuff, isn't there? I mean, there's one step up from that you could probably do. That's in Scotland. That might be one day. That's, yeah, the Munros. So, but I guess internationally, yeah, no. Not really. Yeah, no, nothing that appeals to me, really.
Have we got any other questions from the floor at all? Can't see any hands. Anyone? Anyone touch? Excellent. Would you like the microphone? There you go.
Would you do a fell race if somebody paid your entry fee?
You've got a sponsor.
That's a very good question. Yeah, probably, yeah. I am tight. I think that's probably the reason why I've never done a race, to be honest.
James just spends his money on Tesco meal deals, generally.
And Greg's.
And Greg's. Any other questions for either of the chaps?
Yeah, so Martin sort of listed the CV and the achievements over the 2 years. Which one, if you had to pick one out of all of them, which one would you choose as being the best experience? And yeah, whatever criteria you want to use for best experience.
That's a good question. I'd probably say, like the Trans-Cooling on the Sky, either that or the Sky round, Cooling round, sorry. Those days, like those particular days, yeah, I remember, those particular days, like it's a mixture of like climbing and also like, yeah, obviously running as well. So doing that in like amazing weather where Sky's, you know, renowned for having, you know, atrocious weather all the time, and moving like fairly fluently over that sort of terrain, that's probably stands out, yeah. And then obviously this, this is probably one of the most memorable, yeah.
Fantastic. Anybody else before we wrap up? Oh, here we go.
Are you going to write a book?
Maybe one day. Yeah.
Got a film?
Yeah, got a film, yeah. Yeah, maybe one day, yeah. Yeah, I'll do a few more things first.
Well, you sold one book.
Yeah, so one book.
Anybody else? Nope. Brilliant. Well, I think just before we wrap up, I think what will be really nice after this was anyone who's been involved with any of James's Wainwright, the two Wainwrights, which is a really bizarre thing to have to say, two. If afterwards you want to come down and we'll grab a picture of everyone stood here with that behind with Chay and James, because I think that'll be a nice memento to have. And then likewise, if anyone wants to get any pictures with James, it's £5 to me. And he'll sign anything you want. But I think we should all put our hands together and massive round of applause. So if you supported James, if you want to come on down to the front, we'll keep that round of applause going for the heroes. Huh? Yeah.